And today I am dressed in a short sleeve shirt and shorts, but I have also packed other clothes to try and get smart, because apparently we're doing this thing with the estate agent where the landlord wants to interview the tenants, which is cool, but also hardly ever happens like that. And I think it just gives me like an extra chance that I wasn't expecting, so I've got further in the process slightly, which I need to have happen, to be honest, because, you know, Starmer's new bullshit laws and everything, I need to get other ways to get my foot in the door, I guess, because I'm up against the far left's socialist state where all the trans people and all the immigrants automatically get the jobs and the housing and everything because we're not doing anything about them. We're just not doing anything about this government, it seems. I think we should be fucking doing something about them. But while we're not, things are just getting worse. I saw a video from Bjorn Andreas Bull Hansen, he's in Norway, and things are extreme there. They seem more extreme than they are in the UK, but the UK's going to head that way because Starmer's an avowed socialist and he's in charge. So, you know, I was learning about all the different taxes they have in Norway, and they have like a tax. They're doing proper communist bullshit. Like if you've got a business, the tax can steal half of your business income and worth if you decide you want to exit and leave the country because you're being taxed to death. So like it's an exit tax, I think. So they're trying to stop people leave the country, and the next step on from that is like an 100% tax on everything if you try and leave the country, and then it's just full on stopping you from leaving the country. That's socialist stuff, that's communist stuff, and it's happening in real life. I never dreamed anything like this would happen, but you know, ever since like feminism coming back in the 2010s and messing with people's minds, young people's minds, Yuri Bezmenov, everything he said came true. You know, the underground socialists have now become overt and have just claimed everything. And then the socialists who are not in power are just claiming that it's capitalism's fault, and capitalism's all around us doing this when we haven't actually got any capitalism because it's illegal. The only capitalism you'd ever see, I mean, you wouldn't see it because it's illegal. It would be in private, basically. We are living in a nightmare world. And I thought when I was a kid I would be able to bypass all these horrific times in history. You know, you've got all sorts of horrific eras that people had to live through, and I thought that I managed to get in between. Like, I wasn't, my life was during the Gulf War at first, but yeah, I wasn't involved. My dad was in the army, but luckily he didn't get sent over there. So the Gulf War happened in my lifetime and didn't impact on me. And then there was this time of like kind of peace where we just thought nothing was really going to happen to us that was one of these big horrific events in history, and maybe we got past most of that and we're in some peacetime, like the 90s. And then come the 2000s, the war on terror starts, September 11th and all that shit, which was actually more the government's fault than Osama bin Laden's. And that spans for like 20 years. And then all this much more horrific stuff than the war on terror happens directly to us in our own country, with lockdowns and far leftism, even mass immigration, which is a result of the far left policies. And I did not dodge the bullet. We've been hit by the bullet. We got our little time of peace in the 90s, and now we're full on just in a horrific period, which I term the Second Great Dark Ages. And before that, when the left took over, the Great Regression, which is a play on them trying to call themselves progressives when nothing they do is what we used to call the word progressive, which is advancement. No advancement has happened under them. We've all just gone backwards in time to the 20th century wars, reviving dead ideologies. How do we live in a world like this? And back to Bjorn's video, he's like, I think he's considering like just the way you get away is just move out, like go to a different country. And I'm thinking of leaving Norway and going to another country, but obviously they'll exit tax me and my business and I'll lose half of my business, but I need to get out and have the simple life. And I think that's everyone's response to these authoritarian socialist regimes is, we've got to get out of them, let's just leave the country and go and live in a better country. And I think that's possible to an extent, but you have to pick weird countries that no one ever thinks about. In all the mainstream, like all the well-known countries, France, Germany, America, Australia, Austria, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, all the places you can think of, like Western countries or big countries, they've all been overcome by socialist policy everywhere. And so if you were to leave your country and find somewhere where you wouldn't be bothered, you would literally have to look for a really obscure place where the taxes are so low that they almost don't exist, and the government is just so incompetent that it can't find out what its people are doing and where they are and who's doing what, and its law enforcement are really shit. You have to go find that country and go to it, and it's probably not going to be an English-speaking country, so you might have to learn a language, and it might be quite hard to get by, and you might have to be smarter than all the average inhabitants about how you live your life there. And there's a little blue tit or great tit or something just on a tree in front of me right now, bobbing around. Hey buddy. Oh, you saw him, you must have seen him hover there. Anyway, things living in this country, or any country, any of the Western countries, is ridiculously difficult for anyone until we do what is necessary. But we were more prepared to do that in like 2021 to 2023 than we are now. We're kind of the efficacious humans who are in a position to fight against government were around just after lockdown and during lockdown. That anger, that readiness, that well, you've taken everything from us, so we're gonna start taking from you, that kind of attitude it's becoming more dormant in people now because we didn't act at the right time. And now people are confused and they're splintering, and like some people are believing in AI, some people are swept up by AI, some people aren't. The left is growing again. The right don't fucking know what they're doing, and they tend toward the left without knowing it. And I mean, on the plus side, there are a lot more libertarians and anarchists than there were, but are there enough of us? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, going to meet the landlord, which is quite exciting, and it's quite a nice idea that I'm going to be able to meet with a person who you don't see. You don't really see that. You don't know who is a landlord on the street, and you like it's very private and it's very not known. So when one asks to meet you specifically, or when a person tells you that they own land, it's kind of a rare event, like you're meeting a secret person. Like they're all around us, but they're very private and secretive. So it's nice to be meeting a self-avowed landlord. I better find out what his first name is. And so I'm going to dress smart, talk about my concerns, tell him that I'm not going to do anything bad with the property, tell him my situation and that I can pay, and side with him on everything, which you should with landlords, especially as a tenant, because you are a guest in their house. That's what it is. Leftists will never acknowledge the fact that being a tenant of a property is you living in someone else's house as a guest, and they'll bring up government regulations to try and argue against that. I still think my chances of getting the flat are low. I don't know what the landlord's mind is, you know, what his politics might be or whatever. You know, if he leans left, then he'll see me and go, white man, and then he'll see one of the other guys and go, like, brown immigrant, and give it straight to the immigrant. So I'm hoping it's not that, but you don't know, so all you can do is show up, answer their questions, and be nice. And the meeting gets me further in the process of getting a flat. But the sheer fact that there has been, as the estate agent girl put it, a lot of interest in the property, other viewings taking place, not just me, viewings plural, so she didn't go, there was one other person who viewed the flat, because that would make it a 50-50 chance between me and them, and even that is not a good chance. Like, oh, it's 50%, could go to me, 50% go to them. It's like flipping a coin. It's still like, what it should be is first come, first served, I feel. But they haven't, the estate agents don't do that. I think the landlords should have power to do that, but I feel like the government would try and intervene in that and go, oh, it's unfair. First come, first served is unfair. And so because it's, you know, it's not even, like, if I see 50-50 as a bad chance, and I don't even have 50-50, then whichever way you slice it, it's not a good chance that I'll get this flat. So your mind dwells on, it's going to be pure luck, like some version of what the National Lottery, what people thought the National Lottery was before they understand that it's a rigged system. Read 1984 about the lottery. Anyway, that's all for my undisciplined, all over the place tangent rants today. If I vlog next, it will be about a subject, or it will be me doing a hike. Thank you for watching.